First of all, regarding anti-Semitism, one thing that's happened in the States and elsewhere is that people who, in many other places, people who have some animus against Jews for whatever reason, feel that they have license to take that to the greatest extreme. Not create a club and say no Jews or dogs allowed, or no Jews, blacks, dogs allowed, that used to be common, which is nasty. But at least nobody was killed by that, by that sign or that attitude. But now they say I can take an assault rifle and walk up to a synagogue or a Jewish center or a Jewish museum in Belgium and shoot up the place, and I have the right to do that. They've been given license. And they've been given license sometimes by politicians who maybe unwittingly encourage that. It might be unwitting. Now, not that the politician is saying, please go out and shoot up this Jewish institution, but the way the politician presents things, that gives license, or other kinds of leaders. Politicians are not the only leaders. There are religious leaders, there are cult leaders, there are various club leaders. What would you call some of these radical right people that stormed the Congress in the Capitol on January 6th? They're not a cult, they're not a religion, they're not a political party, but they have leaders in these different groups. So the leaders of these groups and people in these groups and people who vaguely identify with the groups, even if they're not members, feel they have license. And these groups are people on the far right and people on the far left and people who are radical Muslims. In Europe, you see much more of the radical Muslims, although it's been happening in the States, and they don't only shoot up Jews, of course, but when there's an attack on a kosher supermarket in Paris, it's not because it was the nearest supermarket that had people speaking French. It was because it was Jewish, right? And when a young man wearing a kippah walking down the street is attacked and knifed to death, but other people walking down the street were not, it's clear what's going on. So there has to be a lot of public campaigning by people across the political spectrum. Not lip service, but across the political spectrum, across the religious spectrum, that this is absolutely unacceptable. Where it's targeting Jews, that's clearly anti-Semitic. And where people complain about Jews is anti-Semitic. And we need to build a coalition of people across the different spectra who will campaign against this stuff and campaign for conversation, tolerance, argue it out, whatever your issue is.